Hey folks, this is Kalani. Patch 10.0.5 just and so went live, but we already have some news and information about the next patch coming our way, patch 10.0.7. Now, it's obviously still early days here, but getting a blue post talking about the next patch in the same week that a patch goes live is insane. They really want to move things along pretty quickly this expansion and ensure we have a steady stream of content to enjoy, but most importantly, they're putting more effort into the in-between patches, which will hopefully mean we won't get those extended periods of absolutely nothing new. So let's go over this blue post, see what new info we have about patch 10.0.7 and what new content might be coming our way. There's also a new alt catch-up mechanic that we're going to go over at the end, so be sure to stick around for that. Now before we jump in, be sure to hit up that like button and subscribe so you never miss another video. So one of the larger new changes we will see in 10.07 seems to be a new zone, or at least new stuff to do in an old zone. We will be returning to the Forbidden Reach, the dracthyr starter zone, to learn all about the history of the dracthyr and dig into some unresolved mysteries. Why were the dracthyr created? Why were they left in stasis? What were they charged with? And what is left behind in that prison where Raszageth was being held? Now that Raszageth has been dealt with, we can head back to the island and see what's been going on. All of these questions could be answered in the new content coming in the Forbidden Reach zone. A new zone is always exciting, and while it's not exactly a new zone, it will have new content for us to explore. The blue post says we will encounter new bosses and objectives, more storms, new loot, and more. So it sounds like another round of rares to kill potentially. We'll probably have new events or world quests to do, some new invasions to farm, with some shiny rewards to collect along the way. I'm really curious to see how they play this round of rewards, because patch 10.05 included some new gearing options, but the item level of rewards didn't really increase at all, so I wonder if the dev team will use patch 10.07 to increase the overall potential item level of non-group content focused players, or introduce some ways to catch up with gear on multiple characters or alts to ensure everyone has at least some gear as we head into patch 10.1 and the future of Dragonflight. Solo players can quite comfortably and easily get up to item level 385 in pretty much every gear slot right now, so gear rewards in 10.07 will likely have to be a good notch above that to draw players in to farm the new content. This could also be a great chance to introduce, or at least work towards, some extra class and race combinations. We know there are some new class race combinations coming in 10.07, but what I would really love to see are new classes for the dracthyr race. We're going back to the Forbidden Reach to learn about their history, but that means we could also start to look towards their future and how they're going to fit in with the world at large. The dracthyr evokers are special. They're the elite among the elite, but not every dracthyr is an evoker. That is well established in the intro questline and story of the dracthyr starter experience, so maybe those less special dracthyr can learn a thing or two from the mortal races, like how to swing a sword, or stab someone with a sneaky dagger, or maybe just fire a bow. There are a lot of simple classes that don't heavily rely on magic or lore to back up their race restrictions, so those classes could fit in with the dracthyr very easily. So there's no real lore or story reason why we couldn't see dracthyr get new classes to play. The only real factor left is how much work that would entail and whether the dev team want to dedicate that much dev time and work to the project. Another super interesting option on the table is for dracthyr evokers to be able to earn additional visage options as the Dragonflight expansion progresses, as they fight alongside these new allies, as we discover their hidden history together, and as the story unfolds, maybe dracthyr evokers will learn to choose how to take the visage form of other races. That could be a very cool way to bridge the gap between evokers only having access to one race and then keeping the dracthyr fantasy. Either way, I hope we see extra options as the expansion progresses. Now, while new dracthyr classes are just a want or a pipe dream at this point, there are some new class race combos confirmed for patch 10.07. Monks will now be able to play as goblins, lightforged Draenei, and worgen. Now, if I'm correct, that would mean that in patch 10.07, monks can actually play as any race except for the dracthyr, which is a nice step forward for breaking down those class restrictions. That means that monks will join the likes of the warriors, hunters, mages, rogues, rogues, priests, and death knights as classes that can be played by everyone besides the dracthyr, which is also really neat. I imagine we could see even more race class combos make their way into the game at this rate. The only classes left with heavy restrictions are the paladins, shamans, and druids, and the most likely reason they haven't been opened up further is because they all have race-specific visual effects. When you add a new race for druids, for example, you need a whole new round of shape-shifting forms. That's definitely a lot of work. As for the demon hunters and evokers, well, those are quite purposefully restricted, so I doubt we'll see any progress on that front. Now that's just what's been confirmed so far, and we only have the very first initial blue post before any testing actually starts, so we could see more class race combos added in as part of patch 10.07, or we could see some more added in at a later date. Maybe in 10.1 or later in Dragonflight's patch cycle. Who knows, we might even see more dracthyr class options, which will be really exciting in my opinion. We're also going to see the return of heritage armor. We haven't had a heritage armor added into the game for a very long time, so long in fact that some players had thought the feature might have been abandoned as a whole, but 10.0.7 will bring us back on track, giving us heritage armor sets for two major races in World of Warcraft, the humans and the orcs. We even have some previews of what these armor sets are going to look like. The human set is super cool with heavy plate accents, especially the shoulders and the helm, and then the orc set is lots of leather, straps across the chest and legs with big horns and skulls wherever they will fit. Quite fitting for an orc. They're both going to look great and will give you lots of new transmog options to mix and match with your other favourite sets. These sets of heritage armor could be a little different than previous ones though, because an additional blue post said for these sets specifically there are a couple of variations that players will get, and we'll see those a little bit later on. This most likely means we will get different pieces to mix and match, just like the most recent store transmog, the Fire Plume Regalia. There are multiple chest and leg options for this set, giving you a wider variety of total transmog options when compared to your standard set. So we might see different colours, or more exposed skin versus less exposed skin, or completely different emblems to show off. That makes me even more excited for these heritage armor sets and any more heritage armor sets that might follow later on. And then the last part of the blue post talks about the Recruiter Friend system getting a big refresh. This is also really exciting to me. Recruiter Friend was very useful in getting some old friends off the fence and back into the game, and I guess patch 10.0.7 will be reviving this feature once again with new rewards and new reasons to drag your friends back into Azeroth. Now that's all that the blue post included, but that's not all that we should see in patch 10.0.7. If we look back at the roadmap that Blizzard released earlier, we can see that under 10.07 we have the return to Forbidden Reach part. The new heritage armor is noted as well, but apparently we can also expect to see some holiday updates. I'm actually really excited to see what this includes, because a lot of the holiday events in WoW haven't really seen that many updates in a very, very long time. Things like adding in some new activities, maybe some new areas or new cosmetic options, rewards, basically just more reasons to actually care about the holiday events that are coming up, and something to make us excited that Noble Garden or the Midsummer Festival or Brewfest are the next holiday on our list. I think holiday events can help provide a break from the current expansion or patch or storyline and let players chill out with some fun activities once in a while, so getting some updates on that front would be really exciting, and I can't wait to see what patch 10.0.7 has in store. On that note, we probably won't have to wait too long to get our first peek at what this patch is going to look like. When the roadmap was announced, the dev team said that patches would flow quite regularly, but that the next testing cycle would start very soon after a patch goes live. Now that patch 10.0.5 is in our hands, the testing cycle for 10.0.7 will start ramping up, so we should see the first builds hit the public test run very shortly, giving us a better idea of how the Forbidden Reach zone is going to work and what new adventures await us on the other side. But that's all of the news we have for 10.0.7 right now, and it already sounds like it's going to be another nice addition to Dragonflight. Bear in mind, this is once again supposed to be a small patch, a 0.5 patch and now a 0.7 patch, so the major content patches, the stuff that really moves the story along, that's going to be in 10.1, but 0.5 and 0.7 so far have already had so much content, I'm beginning to wonder just what we might see in a 0.1 patch, in a major patch with how big these smaller ones have been, but I just hope they can keep their content pacing going without totally burning everyone out. In other news, a new catch-up mechanic has been added in for alts that can help you get them caught up with gear. This week introduced the 5th and final Spark of Ingenuity quest. If your main character has done that quest, your alts should be able to walk up to the engine, talk to the goblin Grayzik Cobblefinger, and choose to skip over the entire questline. This gives you the 5 bottles of essence to turn into sparks right away, and it also unlocks the ability to randomly loot Sparks of Ingenuity. Now, unfortunately, this skip only works if you have not started any part of the Spark questline. If you have started the questline at all, like if you did 1 trial out of 5 or 2 out of 5 or whatever, if you started it, you won't be able to use the skip right now. It's only available for alts who have not started the questline at all. That's unfortunate, and hopefully it's just a bug. Hopefully it's just an oversight that will be changed soon, but if you cannot see the skip right now, that's probably why. That's not the end of Sparks of Ingenuity though. After you've gotten your 5th spark, either by completing the quest for the first time or using the catch-up on your alt, you then gain the ability to randomly discover sparks in your adventures. Now, while we do not have an exhaustive list of what content will contribute to this, we do have a good idea of some things that you can do. Apparently, the random spark loot is modelled after the Legion legendary system. I have seen confirmed reports that players have gotten sparks from killing raid bosses, completing Mythic Plus dungeon runs, killing rares, looting treasures, and winning PvP matches. If it really is modelled after Legion legendaries, these things will come from practically any source of loot. Anytime you loot something, there might be a chance to get a spark. You should also average 1 spark every 2 weeks by the sounds of things, so it might be the exact same cadence here, with luck putting you on one side or the other of that 2-week marker, depending on what kind of luck you have. I have seen and heard reports of players who have already gotten 2 sparks, and we've only had this system for a couple days, so your mileage is definitely going to vary. But no matter what, you can still earn sparks past the 5th one, which will allow you to continually craft more and more profession gear to gear up your characters. Now, getting your sparks all at once super easily and quickly, with the added bonus of immediately unlocking the random future spark system, is all fine and dandy, but there is one huge roadblock still in place when it comes to using these sparks, especially on alt characters: Primal Chaos. There are quite a lot of sources of Primal Chaos in the game: weekly quests, world quests, collecting treasures, killing rares, killing raid bosses, and completing dungeon runs. But when you have a fresh alt, collecting enough Primal Chaos can take a long time, especially if you're trying to make some of the higher cost items like weapons. 160 Primal Chaos is a very big chunk when you're only collecting 2 or 3 at a time. Honestly, if you are not running Mythic Plus dungeons, you will probably struggle to obtain Primal Chaos in a timely manner. Mythic Plus dungeons seem to be the best source bar none when it comes to Primal Chaos farming, because you pretty much get 1 Primal Chaos per key level you run. So if you run a plus 10 key, you get about 10 Primal Chaos at the end, which is kinda crazy when compared to other sources. The heavy time gating on Primal Chaos made a little bit more sense when the sparks were gated behind 2-week-long breaks in between the quests. That 2-week duration gave you a chance to maybe stockpile some Primal Chaos for your next crafted piece, but now that you can get all 5 sparks right away and have a chance to gather extra sparks randomly, you're just going to be sitting on sparks forever if you don't run Mythic Plus dungeons on your alts. So I would definitely love to see some changes come through for Primal Chaos. Maybe up the reward rate for things like Elite World Quests, maybe have all World Quests reward at least 1 Primal Chaos baseline, or make rare kills a guaranteed Primal Chaos drop. Just something to make Primal Chaos more reliable than it currently is. There are a lot of random chances for Primal Chaos, which means if you get very unlucky, you won't really have enough Primal Chaos to do anything with your sparks, which is a shame. Having professions be a viable source of gear has been very interesting, but right now if you aren't running Mythic Plus dungeons, it takes a long time to take advantage of the fact, so I would love to see some extra options for solo players or just anyone who isn't doing high-end group content to earn Primal Chaos at a faster and more reliable pace. In addition to that, this stuff really should be account-wide. I'm sitting on a huge stockpile of Primal Chaos on my Hunter that I can't really do anything with. Being able to send that over to my Druid or my Rogue to help complete some of their profession-crafted gear would be a godsend, and with it being such an important currency, I think it being account-wide would solve a lot of other problems. The same thing goes for Primal Focus and Concentrated Primal Focus. They need extra uses if they aren't going to become account-wide, but I would honestly prefer if the dev team just made all of this stuff stuff account-wide so we can move things more freely between our characters. Hopefully, with the alt catch-up in place for the sparks, we'll also see a change to help smooth out the roadblocks that are still in place. But that's all the news we have for this video. What do you think of patch 10.07 being talked about already? Could these patches come out too quickly, or would you rather have a steady stream of content always coming down the pipeline? And how do you feel about Primal Chaos right now? Do we need more sources, or would it being account-wide be enough? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and all of our members here on YouTube. You can see the names floating by on screen. If you'd like to add your name to the end of every video with a special shout out at the start of the next video, you can find links in the description over to Patreon, or click the join button just below this video. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss another video. Thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.